This program was brought to you by Organo Gold. Organo Gold is a health and wellness company that provides healthy coffees, teas, and chocolate. All one has to do is consume the available coffee, teas, chocolate, and other products to get all the available benefits. One can also share these products with others to help them improve their health as well.
And now, Fairfax Breakfast Club with your host, Basil Lemba.
Welcome to the Fairfax Breakfast Club show. My name is Basil Lemba and I will be your host. The Fairfax Breakfast Club is a weekly program in which we bring to you valuable and workable know-how you can use to improve your networking skills and grow your business. We always start the show with a quote. On this show, we want to talk about the concept of reinventing oneself. So we'll start with two quotes. The first one is, "Someday is not a day of the week." That is from Denise Brennan Nelson. And the second one, "If today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I'm doing today?" And that is from Steve Jobs. With us today in the studio, we have someone who has successfully reinvented themselves, as he's going to talk to us about the process of just doing that and how he managed that process. So I introduce to you Chris Harrison from WorldPay. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Basil.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. It's nice to see you.
Very good, very good. You put on the spot over here. When we had a conversation last time about you coming on the show, you told me, what do you want to talk about? In my life in the military, my life now, or what have you? So let's start with that. Your evolution on those different careers.
Well, that could be quite a long topic. Let me try to keep it brief.
Okay.
When I was in high school, I was having the time of my life, doing fun things, doing the things. If it were the last day of my life, I probably would have been happy. Okay. And when I went to the military academy at West Point, it continued. It was a great time. It was exciting. There were so many wonderful things to do. And I spent several years in the military after that. Mm-hmm. And when I came out because I was ready for something new, and I didn't quite know what it was. Okay. I thought it might be business. I thought I might go back to school, or I might go back and study music again that I loved so much. But I got into the business world. I had a couple of those jobs that I think you just get them because you think you need to have a job, and they weren't the things that I wanted to find myself doing on the last day of my life. Okay. Not by any stretch of the imagination. I found myself working for the American Red Cross at one point. Okay. And that was one of the most fulfilling things I ever did. That was a job where I woke up every morning and I said, I like what I do. This is great. It was fun, it was fulfilling, it was worthwhile, and I felt like I was doing what I always wanted to do, which was give back. And from that point on, I incorporated some things in the past that I had done sporadically, but hadn't really had a part constantly of my life, which was giving back and helping other people who might be in need. And from that point on, I kept that theme going in my life, whether it was as an avocation or a vocation. And today I'm back in the business world working for a profit company trying to make a dollar, but I find myself either in my spare time or while I'm at work, being able to help people who need something, giving a little extra of myself that maybe, I made a joke out in the green room that I don't do anything that I don't get paid for. But that's not entirely true. There's different forms of payment besides dollar signs. And I find that I'm doing these things, maybe not because I'm a good guy, but just because it feels good.
But that makes you in the end a good guy then.
I guess. I'm just lucky. Very blessed.
Okay. So today, thank you very much.
Sure.
So today you have WorldPay.
Yes.
Okay, what do you guys do at WorldPay then?
Well, WorldPay, as we call ourselves the leaders in modern money, is one of the largest direct processors of credit card transactions in the world. And what we do is we help a business or a school or any organization that needs to accept a form of payment from their supporters or their customers. We facilitate those transactions. So in layman's terms, we're a credit card processor.
Okay, very good. All right. So now, talk to us about the change of the money use, or the change how the money is moving today? We were talking about that a little bit before the show started.
Sure. Well, if you go back just maybe 30 or 40 years ago, when credit cards were just becoming in vogue, in wide use, we still had 2 or 3 basic forms of handling money. We had cash that we'd take from the bank, we had checks that we wrote, and credit card transactions where when you used your credit card at a store, they still had a book that they opened up to look for bad numbers. They didn't they didn't call in and get an authorization instantly the way they do over the phone. And you got a paper receipt which actually went to Visa and MasterCard and then to the issuing bank. Today, we have things called wallets from PayPal and Apple, the new Apple wallet. We have contactless or near-field communication reading of your card. So you don't even have to even hand the card to somebody. We have chips embedded in cards for the most modern and most effective way of fraud prevention. We go online and we enter some keystrokes, and 2 days later something shows up from Amazon. And money moves around the world, and sometimes we never touch it. And we are the leaders in modern money at WorldPay in that we really do facilitate how our customers need to move money. We don't say, well, here's the way you're going to do it if you work with us. So there's many different ways that money moves around, and that's just the tip of the iceberg where we touch the transfer of money.
What that change that we're talking about from money, the credit card, the checks and whatever, and to what we do today, what changed in that arena? What make it better? What make it easier? Or maybe not better? Or what do you see? What are the pros and cons of that situation?
What has made it better is simply technology. We're in the technology age. Where we've gone in the last 20 years is exponentially greater than we went in the past 200 years. When we started, we had our industrial revolutions, and we produced steel wholesale, and then the airplanes and telephones. All the wonderful inventions that we've had are dwarfed in how far we've come in just a short period of time with technology. And technology is both the con and the pro. It's the good and the bad. The technology makes things easy, but it also makes things very easy for the thieves in the world. And probably the easiest reference I could make that anybody could relate to would be data breach and cybercrime and theft of personal financial data. And the technology in today's business world and our lives in general, and our personal lives, make it very easy for people who are smart and have the know-how to get into your accounts, steal your money. And that's really where the financial services companies and the financial services industries of the world today really need to focus, because the things that made our lives so wonderful and so easy can also make our lives miserable in a heartbeat if someone gets your information in the wrong environment and the wrong place.
Any way to prevent that?
There are many ways to prevent that, and surprisingly, the easiest ways to prevent them are very common sense and low tech. Let me give an example of what I'm talking about. The biggest companies out there, the Walmarts and the big chains and the box stores, they have a lot of money to spend on preventing hackers from coming in the new traditional way. The new traditional way is to hack, but it's really hard to get into those companies. The best way to prevent people from stealing that data is to exercise common sense, to vet your third-party vendors, to make sure that their criminal background checks have been performed.
You talk about who Walmart vetting the third party?
I'm talking about a company like Walmart that has an HVAC contractor. I'm talking about Home Depot. Remember the Home Depot breach? The Home Depot breach was not accomplished through high-tech hacking with smart people who knew how to break codes. It's not going to happen. They have too much money invested in preventing that. The way it happened was they had a lapse in the background check of one of their third-party contractors, an HVAC, a heating ventilation company, that had a couple of criminals working for it. This was a very well-planned exercise, but it was low-tech. They actually got into the physical premises and loaded malware into the computer systems, and that's where this big breach that hit the news took place. So,
okay. I got you. Now, how the small business person or the individual can protect themselves then?
Well, that's a really good question. When you see a breach from Home Depot or locally, the P.F. Chang's restaurant locally, or you've heard of the Target breach, when you see those, they're like cockroaches. There's thousands more behind the walls that you can't see. And small business, 85% of this type of crime is targeted against small businesses. For the very reasons we just discussed, they don't have the resources to protect themselves. But as I said, the easiest way to protect yourself is common sense and low tech. And your credit card processor should be educating you on how to do these things. And when I say common sense and low tech, I mean things like don't write down credit card numbers and leave them lying around. Make sure that your credit card processing isn't going out on your Wi-Fi or isn't accessible through your Wi-Fi. Have a separate internet connection as opposed to the same internet connection. I'll give you an example. 2 Burger King franchises in the Riverdale up in Hyattsville area about 3 going on 4 years ago now had a data breach because they were processing their credit card transactions on the same broadband internet network where they had their Wi-Fi for their customers.
Oh, I see.
So their customers
had access to it.
Had access to it, and 2 criminals sat in the parking lot for weeks in these Burger King restaurants with laptops enabled with Wi-Fi, just pulling in that data every day. Wow. And it was a huge breach. And it wasn't so much the financial loss of this transaction or of this theft that hurt the Burger Kings. It was the damage to their reputation, and it was the fact that Visa MasterCard shut down their ability to take credit cards. If they had just had a separate or even a passcode and protected Wi-Fi network, they could have prevented this very easily. So that's what I mean when I say it's low tech and it's easy common sense things that they can do, and your processor really should be taking an active role with you on a monthly basis, talking to you about what you're doing and how you're protecting yourself.
Okay. Would you say then that your job is part of it, at least, is education?
Absolutely. It's an imperative. I approach my customers, everybody wants to talk about rates, first of all. And I'm not going to tell anybody that they shouldn't be concerned about the price they pay.
Of course.
But by far the most important thing that your financial services representative can do for you is to help protect your accounts that they have with you. Protect your accounts and help your business grow. And that's another topic for another day about helping your business grow. But protection, by all means, and it's education, and it's simple education. It doesn't take a master's degree. It doesn't take an exceptional amount of intelligence, just common sense, everyday, good judgment, and good training and education from the professionals that know.
Gotcha. Okay. Got it. And so you rank, just for information, how do you rank compared to the other credit card processors worldwide?
Well, unfortunately, they don't rank us according to how well we protect people, but they should. We feel, and we have been told by peer-reviewed organizations, that we provide the best-in-class tools and capabilities for our customers to prevent data breach. It's very simple, actually. The payment card industry lays out a very clearly defined data security standard, and they require all processors to hold their merchants accountable to these standards. And it's very simple to do a questionnaire every year, to answer these questions honestly, and if you don't pass the questionnaire standard, they tell you what you need to do, you fix it, and it's very simple. It doesn't cost you any money to not pass the standard, but as long as you answer the question every year, or the questionnaire every year, and you answer it truthfully, and your processor works with you on it, it's a simple thing to accomplish to make sure that you're as secure as you can be. And again, my company ranks among peer-reviewed organizations as one of the top organizations that provides the best tools and the easiest to use tools to help prevent data breach for small businesses.
Okay. Very good. All right. So now tell us, Chris, let's ask you a slightly different question. What is the biggest challenge in life?
Wow, that's a loaded question.
Slightly.
Biggest challenge in life, I think, is to roll with the punches, because you can't protect yourself from everything. Be able to change and reinvent yourself when the time comes, and knowing when the time comes is probably half the battle. My biggest challenge in life has always been to see the forest for the trees or the trees for the forest. I get a little caught up in my ADHD, and sometimes the obvious answers are standing there right in front of me. And I think opportunity is always in front of you. And if you have the ability or you're open to seeing the opportunities that come your way, I think you can overcome any challenge that comes along as long as you have been true to yourself, as long as you've got goals and principles that you strive towards and live by every day of your life. I think life gets a lot easier as soon as you do that.
Yeah, correct. Absolutely. What will be your biggest success?
Financially, professionally, personally.
You make the choice, you decide.
My biggest success in my life was when I finally realized what made me happy, what I would want to be doing if that last day suddenly was announced today. And I realized that if I got involved doing the things that my father and my mother taught me about when I was growing up, they got me involved in charitable organizations at a very early or early point in my life. And I was doing these things because my dad dragged me there. But I went back to that a couple of decades ago. I went back to that and I said, hey, I'm happy. I had jobs that I wasn't unhappy in, but I wasn't deriving any joy out of. But I found that if I didn't work to live, I didn't live to work, but I worked simply to live, and I made sure that other things in my life were fulfilling. To name a few, if I can I'll pitch for a couple of really worthy organizations.
Absolutely.
I worked for the American Red Cross. They do a lot of great things for our armed services. I do some work with an organization called Shelterbox. Shelterbox provides international disaster relief for people who have survived a disaster but have not a shred of clothing on their body maybe, and they have no way to get water or shelter. They provide dignity and warmth and potable water to these folks. I've found organizations like this in my life through my work with my local Rotary Club. I'm a Rotarian, and these were blessings in my life. Everybody says, oh, that's great that you do that. It's great, you're right, but it's better for the people that do it because it gives you a sense of purpose, it fulfills your life, and it leaves you standing at the end of the day going, the end's here, okay, I'm ready for it.
That's great, that's great. So you're coming to our expo, thank you very much. You're coming to our expo having on November 14.
Yes.
We're glad, we appreciate you being one of our exhibitors.
We're glad to be there. It's our pleasure.
Yeah, it's going to be a great event. And I want to talk a bit about that because fortunately we have been doing that for 10 years. But interesting things have happened for us recently where now we have several Fortune 500 companies joining us, which is as surprising as really to us. But it's good because the reason we started about that because our mission has always been to bring them all together. The big companies, the small company, the mid-tier, the entrepreneur, the consumers, bring them together. Because what seems to happen, generally people tend to do an event or a program for this section, for this section, for this section. Our thought process is where the big guys today started in the garage yesterday. If no one was there to provide him help, wouldn't be the big guys today.
Absolutely.
So now we have American Express coming, Kaiser Permanente, Comcast, Cox Communication, and Microsoft coming. It's great because they need one another, and we're very much excited because now we can bring them together so they can do business with one another.
You have a very exciting mix at your event, and we're really excited to be there because of that.
Yeah, so that's I can't wait because it's kind of like a dream coming true.
Excellent. Well, it is your work, so I'm happy for you and I'm really happy that I met you a few weeks ago and that you called me and pursued me and said, "Hey, Chris, you should do this."
Yeah.
And when I brought this to my boss and my boss's boss, they looked at it and they said, "Be there. Don't not be there."
That's good. That's good.
Absolutely.
Also, you are a great networker in the area. Tell us a little bit about your networking activities.
Wow. This is one of those things that falls into the category that I mentioned a minute ago about not seeing the forest for the trees, or maybe vice versa. Maybe not looking at the right place at the right time. I used to think that sales or business development was just about meeting people and shaking hands and finding commonality and smiling and hoping they liked you and then hoping you had a good price. And I learned a couple of years ago about BNI, which is a group that I belong to, and not just BNI, but other networking groups. And I learned that much like what I told you I'd found in my life that gave me personal fulfillment about giving back, that if you give enough to other people, if for no other reason, they're going to feel obligated to help you out. Now, I'm not saying you do this to be obligated, but if you're in the mode, if you're of the mind of getting to know somebody, like you and I are getting to know each other, and I learn about your business, I'm going to be in a position when I'm not in front of you, when I'm with some other people that I know, if something comes up that I think is a good fit for you, I'm going to be able to say, hey, my friend Basile could probably help you out. Can I introduce you to, or can I invite you to a networking meeting, maybe to the breakfast, or maybe to a group that I go to? So finding out about the people that I'm around and learning how I can help them, and hopefully they want to learn how they can help me, has been the most effective thing that I've done in the last 2 years. I've done more business through getting to know people and learning how to help them and having them turn around and help me than I did probably in the previous 10 years.
Wow.
It's the most effective way to do business. In fact, it's the only way WorldPay recommends that we do business. They recommend we find partners and that we work with them and bring each other value. It's our sole business development strategy. Not one of many. It's the only business development strategy that we have.
That's impressive.
It is.
It totally validates, which I believe, because I always say human being are human being. The business is business, but human being. So you got to connect, you got to get to know people, and it's much more easier. It is not to say for those who are doing cold calling don't. And there's always that quote that I heard somebody says, when God wanted to punish salesmen, he invented cold call.
You know, that's true. But it's not true in some respect. Cold calling can be fun because if you really know what you're doing and you really enjoy what you're doing and you believe in what you're doing, it can be fun to go out and meet new people just off the cuff and strike up a
possibly
conversation.
Move them into your warm market.
And possibly do that, exactly.
Yeah, we're not saying don't. That's not what.
But to do it day in and day out, it takes a special breed of person. We actually have a very successful senior account executive in South Florida who does nothing but cold calling. He doesn't listen to WorldPay at all for its, but he's extremely successful. He's very successful, and his name is Nelson, and my hat's off to him. He's one of the most enthusiastic and personable guys I know. I'm afraid to think of what he would do if he actually networked.
No, that for sure. It's I guess there's different ways to skin a cat.
Yeah,
He's skin it with a cold call, and then some other people
It's working.
skin it with networking. So we definitely understand that. But I tend to like networking because it'll give you the opportunity to build that relationship. For example, we network, we met, now you come to our expo, now you're on our show. I do not know that the progression of this relationship would have taken, it may have, we never know.
I doubt we would have met each other if I hadn't been a networker and you hadn't been
You
a
get what I'm
networker.
saying?
I
Even if I call on the phone, I don't know that we would be sitting here today.
No.
My heart goes off to Nelson. Congratulations, sir. Keep up the good work.
God bless him.
You get what I'm saying? But I just tend to like this because it probably more for the average or maybe the less outgoing and what have you, this could be an easier road.
I don't think I have it in me to do what the cold callers do day in and day out. This is definitely the easier way in life, and you have more fun doing it too. You have to work at it. You can't not work at it. It doesn't just happen for you. You have to be a student of networking. You have to plan your day. You have to work your plan. You know, nothing changes in that respect. But networking is simple. It's a force multiplier. In the military, we had several force multipliers when it came to, we had maybe little boats, and then we had big boats, and we had satellite technology to look around the world. Those were force multipliers. You know, we could do it with 1 billion soldiers, but why not do it with less and be more effective?
That's a good way to put it.
Absolutely.
Why not do it less and be more effective? Did I tell you the show was about networking? Good.
I think you mentioned it once or twice.
Okay, so now, what word of wisdom or what are the last thoughts that you'd like to leave with the audience, Chris?
Well, there's another loaded question. I wish I'd thought about that before I got here. I'll leave you a quote. And I don't remember exactly how it goes, but it was from General Norman Schwarzkopf. And he was talking about leadership and integrity. He said, if you're going to be without good leadership and without a good plan, do that, but never be without integrity. And maybe I can just relate that to a word of wisdom to say, be true to yourself, figure out what you're going to do, always treat people the way you want to be treated, and work very hard at it and diligently. And I think you've got success in front of you no matter which way you turn, as long as you approach it with that attitude. Sorry, I wasn't real prepared with a good quote for you.
It's okay. I don't want you to be prepared. I think that's I'm mentioning that before the show started talking to some people, because the show is designed to be what I want you to express in this show is in you.
Yeah.
It's not the preparation of it or whatever. It is in you. It doesn't have to be the exact, precise word, whatever the case may be, but the substance, the essence, the sense of it has been communicated.
That's all we can hope for.
Well, you did it.
Great.
Again, folks, let me just mention that we host a breakfast event in Fairfax at the Old Town Hall. You can see the website there, blnbc.com. We do that once a month. And also twice a year, we put on an expo. Our next expo is on November 14 at the Stacy Sherwood Community Center. We'll have about 100 exhibitors there. We're expecting 300 to 400 business people. Our message to you is join us at the Breakfast Club, at the expo, and also watch our shows, which run on Cox Communication on Tuesday at 9 p.m., right after midnight on Wednesday, and also on Saturday at 2 o'clock. You can find us. You can also find our website on the expo, which is ultbizexpo.com. I believe we still have some openings on that. Chris will be exhibiting there. Come and visit him. And we definitely want to have you there. That will be a great opportunity for you to promote and grow your business. So that brings us to the end of our show. So we're looking forward to seeing you next time. So tune in at 9 p.m. We thank you very much for coming. We're looking forward to having you over next time. Have a very productive day. Bye-bye.
This program was brought to you by Organo Gold. Organo Gold is a health and wellness company that provides healthy coffees, teas, and chocolate. All one has to do is consume the available coffee, teas, chocolate, and other products to get all the available benefits. One can also share these products with others to help them improve their health as well.